So at one point late last year, I think it was November, I made a guess that gold would hit $2,350 to $2,400 in 2024. So I guess we can all go home now. Gold just put in a new all-time high, $2,360, and it's a big deal. But there's always a comment or two asking why anyone cares about price. Now, my guess is that the person never intends to sell, so maybe they really don't care. But a run-up in price has a huge impact on the general public, both retail buyers and investors. And even the buyers who've been at it for a while will start to shift the way they think about gold. Maybe they saw gold as a hedge or an emergency backup, but now maybe gold is becoming a growth asset, like a full-fledged financial instrument. So a gold price run is not just about increased entry cost or increased profit. It's actually a new motivation to buy. Before we get into it though, if you're looking for gold or silver, check out SD Bullion. New buyers even get gold or silver for spot. That's sdbullion.com/new. So I want to start by covering the topic of predictions because the question of where price goes from here, it's going to come up. And it's a fair question, but the answers, I'm not so sure they're helping anybody. I think it's worth saying again that nobody knows right now. So there's a baseline in here that we can all see from clear triggers like a US Fed rate pause and the hope of a rate cut. But that hope isn't driving this full 18% gain that we've seen from this rally alone. I think we're actually at 19% now. We also know about the Middle East tension. That's something that's going to play in. But 6 months in, we can't say that that's still driving the price either. Now, the unknown here is central bank buying. It's unknown because we only know after the fact what's going on, and it's having a huge impact on gold price. So with rate cut hopes, we're seeing a rally months before we actually get one, if we get one. But with central bank buying, all we see is that prices are going up, and then we find out a month later what happened to help us get there. Now, China bought 5 more tons of gold in March. That's the 17th consecutive month, but we don't know about that until after it happens. So back to those who cares comments. Well, gold rose 9.5% in March alone, and that's not in any kind of expected way. Look at UBS. They have more information than you do, than I do, and they were forecasting $2,300 as the high for gold in 2024. That was up until a month ago. It wasn't that they were being conservative, it's that they didn't have all that information. Well, by the way, they've updated that forecast now to $2,500. Now, if you feel like these forecasts are conservative, well, they should be because nobody has information on upcoming wide-scale tragedies or conflicts. These are assumed prices if nothing big or unexpected happens, which is a big reason people buy gold in the first place. It's to give you some insulation against those big unexpected cases, but you don't plan around imaginary events to give you some kind of appreciation factor. One of those comments from my last video said that I didn't even give a prediction on. I am not here to predict. I'm pointing out what events and what factors are influencing price movement so we know what to look for. The minute that I try to start predicting future events is probably the minute that I've gone crazy. Now, we could try to do that too. I just don't think it's useful to anyone. So as far as guesses go, my 2024 guess that I gave last November was $2,350 to $2,400. That was for 2024, and that was if the rate cuts happened late in the year. So the event would be the rate cut. The guess would be based on that happening. Well, I guess I was right sooner than I thought. Either that or I was wrong for not going big enough. Now we have new information on rate cuts since November, so I think we probably need a bigger number. Now in my last video I mentioned 2,400 was probable, 2,500 was possible in the next few months, and that's really just based on current trend, but it's still starting to feel like even that is too conservative. Now if we were to grab a page from the Pumper's Playbook, give a ridiculously high guess for gold price, I guess we could just keep saying we'll get there eventually, and you could never prove that wrong because we haven't gotten there yet. The point that I've been making lately is that gold has been outperforming my personal expectations and the expectations of a lot of analysts who know a lot more than any of us. And the saying that we're in for a ride, well, that's this exact situation. Something behind us is propelling us, the things in front of us, they're hard to predict, they're hard to see. We aren't driving. And all you can do in a situation like this, I guess, is to raise your expectations. The one case that I see for a drop in gold price is central banks flipping to net sales of gold. Now, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have some kind of nagging sense of 2011 deja vu. That led to an eventual drop in price, so that's somewhere in my head. But you can't predict any of that. Now, everything else says gold is going to continue up. You do see comments from bank analysts about gold being overbought, about it running out of momentum, but we haven't seen a rate cut yet, and that's a big pivot for the price of gold. What we're working on right now, central bank buying, tension in the Middle East, and just the hope of a rate cut. So to me, the most logical path for gold, it includes a short-term pullback because it always does, but mostly it's up and to the right. So $3,000, yeah, sure. We're just not going to say when. 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, sure. Those are all fun numbers, but even being conservative, even looking at what's actually happening, I think it's fair to say that the rally's not going to stop at 2360. So let's call it good there. Let's move it into the comments. We all love to make predictions when gold is on a run, so let's get them out. Where do you see gold going in 2024? Let us know. And then while you're in the comments, be sure to hit the like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.